Hello. Thank you so much for joining me today. How you doing? Today, I want to learn about the Black Death, which I think is also the same thing as the bubonic plague, which is also just the plague. As you can tell, I'm not super familiar with it. I would say over here in the American education system, the world-renowned American education system, the Black Death is it's, a little bit glossed over, I'd say. It's like, hey, an ungodly amount of people died a long time ago in Europe. And anyway, moving on. So, I don't know. I found this video by ClickView. I've seen these guys before. I've always loved their username, ClickView. Straight to the point. Link down below, check them out. What was the Black Death? I'm curious. I want to know some more details. It might be a little bit gruesome, but I want to know. Whoa.
The delirious victim.
That's a zombie.
Staggers about in his final moments. His speech is slurred, skin purple-black, covered with swollen, pus-filled lumps as death calls him. Witnesses to this terrifying spectacle called it the Dance Macabre, or Dance of Death. In the 14th century, a terrible catastrophe fell upon Asia, Europe, the Middle East, and North Africa that would change the course of history.
I didn't know it was that widespread.
The Black Death. The Black Death, or bubonic plague, was an outbreak of disease that killed 1/3 of the European population in the period.
This is like what people kind of feared COVID might be, right? Hopefully nothing ever this severe happens. Or we're doomed, huh?
1347 to 1350. It had a similarly devastating impact in Asia, the Middle East, and North Africa. The disease played no favorites. Rich and poor, young and old, priest and peasant, all fell victim to this horrible and, at the time, unexplained sickness, which was spreading like wildfire. The populations of entire towns and villages were wiped out in a matter of days. The dead were buried in mass graves to cope with the rapid death toll. Only a thin covering of soil was placed over the dead bodies before another layer was buried on top.
Wow, you definitely would have thought this was the end of the world, especially in a time before vaccines and stuff. How did we ever recover from that? Holy shit.
Pope Clement VI consecrated, made sacred, the Rhone River so corpses could be thrown straight into it.
Oh my God.
So, what is the Black Death? Where did it come from? While it's difficult to trace with any real certainty, the outbreak is believed to have originated in the Gobi Desert in Mongolia, early in the 14th century. Prior to this...
Not the Wuhan lab? Sorry, that was stupid.
The disease had existed for centuries in regions of Asia, with small outbreaks occurring from time to time. Any one of these could have been the source. Once infected, the victim would first experience a high fever, aching limbs, and fatigue. Within days, the lymph nodes in the neck, armpits, and groin would start to swell and turn black.
Turn black? How do you even see the lymph nodes?
Black swellings are where the Black Death gets its name.
What?
Michael Placentius, first-hand witness to the horrors of the Black Death, wrote, "Here, not only the burn blisters appeared, but there developed gland boils on the groin, the thighs, the arms, or on the neck. At first, these were the size of a hazelnut and developed accompanied by violent shivering fits, which soon rendered those attacks so weak that they could not stand up, but were forced to lie in their beds, consumed by violent fever. Soon the boils grew to be the size of a walnut, then to that of a hen's egg or a goose's egg, and they were exceedingly painful and irritated the body, causing the sufferer to vomit blood, The sickness lasted.
Dude, nature is scary. Okay, nature is freaking scary. Sometimes I think, man, like the modern day world, it's. I wish we could kind of go connect back with nature. We all live in houses and stuff. I want to live among the trees. And it's like, okay, well, I don't know about that. I don't know. Maybe 50-50. Because I don't want to go back to this. Okay? That's for sure. It's just crazy to me that this much torture can happen to you from seemingly out of nowhere. I freaking hate being sick. Even just having the flu is horrible.
3 days, and on the 4th, the latest, the patient succumbed.
Just 4 days.
The stinking pus-filled swellings, otherwise known as buboes, gave the bubonic plague its name. Their nervous system under attack, victims would become crazed and delirious with fever. Once the swollen lymph nodes started to burst within the body, the
swollen lymph nodes would burst? I mean, I don't know anything about lymph nodes, I'm going to be honest, but those are different than, they're showing the boils, like the blisters and stuff. The lymph nodes, I know they're here, they're down there. They would burst? That sounds so damn painful. You would wish it's over. You know what I mean?
sufferer was not long for this world. Death usually occurred within the week. By the time the infected person who had introduced the disease to the port, town, or village died, others would already be in the early stages of infection. This made preventing an epidemic incredibly difficult. The outbreak of the Black Death in the 14th century actually involved 3 different strains of plague. The most common and visually the most gruesome form is the bubonic plague.
Oh. So there's, okay, that's only one strain.
The second form was the pneumonic plague.
Oh.
It infects the respiratory system once the bubonic strain reaches the lungs. The third form, septicemic plague, infects the body's circulatory system, that is, the blood. The bubonic plague is actually the weakest of the 3 strains. During the worst outbreaks of the Black Death, pneumonic and septicemic plague had mortality rates of almost 100%. It's believed malnutrition played a major role in making the symptoms more dramatic. Many who died had endured years of famine, the result of severe storms and drought, making their weakened immune system vulnerable.
I just need to know some stats now. Okay, that was horrifying. I need to know the stats. Okay. I think I found, I mean, this is the real life lore. This is a legendary channel, okay? Check them out, link down below. And I think they've got some stats here.
Mediterranean and Europe. So between 1347 and 1351, the plague ravaged most of the European continent. In just these 5 years, it's estimated that as much as 60% of the population of the European continent died. But some areas were hit harder than others.
60%. Most people.
Mediterranean regions like Italy, France, and Spain saw as much as 75% of their populations dying. 70% of England's population died out.
Bro, I can't even imagine. If you're one of that 25% that survives, you would feel like it's a zombie apocalypse, right? I literally can't fathom it. I'm unable to. I have a decent imagination, but I can't put myself in the shoes of being like, okay, everything's relatively normal. Then within a 5-year span, 75% of the people I know are dead. And they're dying. Most people I know are dead. It's literally a zombie apocalypse.
60% of Norway's and 20% of Germany's. Paris and
How did Germany get unscathed like that? Relatively.
London both lost half of their populations. And Florence lost so many people that they didn't recover their...
I mean, 20% isn't unscathed. That's still unbelievable, but compared...
population back until the 1800s. But other areas of Europe were almost never even touched by the plague, like Poland, most of Hungary, and Belgium. It's unclear why exactly the plague varied so greatly.
That's weird that Belgium, right there in the middle of it all, would be untouched.
in intensity across the continent. But within just 5 years, 6 out of every 10 people living on the continent beforehand was dead. The Black Death, as it became to be known, also heavily afflicted the Middle East, where approximately 1 out of every 3 people died in that same 5-year time frame as well. It's believed that in just this 5-year length of time, the bubonic plague may have killed as many as 200 million people across Eurasia, which is absolutely staggering when you remember that the entire world population prior to the pandemic was only 475 million people.
Freaking believable, man. When you think the world is crazy today, sometimes I feel like it helps to put it in perspective. You look at some history. The world has been through the most crazy events. Like, you know, truth is actually stranger than fiction. You wouldn't believe this shit if it didn't actually happen. 200 million people out of 475 million people dead. But yeah, I'm just saying, like, the world feels crazy right now, but damn. It's been crazier. I think that, I mean, that sums up what I wanted to know. All right. Well, hopefully that never happens again. Thank you so much for watching. I kind of feel bad. I feel like, you know, my condolences for your guys' ancestors. Holy shit. I mean, I guess they're my ancestors too. I'll see you guys tomorrow.